Testing 1, 2.
Does anybody have the microphone? Anybody have the microphone? All right.
Welcome, fellow Rotarians and guests. And for John Pally, yes, I think I'm 3 minutes early. But yes, just for you. Okay, so welcome to the August 17th meeting of the Las Vegas Rotary Club. I'm Toni Kern, and I'm honored to be the 101st president of the greatest Rotary Club in the world. I would like to start out our meeting by asking Larry Cohn and Silver Throat Tanya Ragel forward, please.
Good afternoon, all. Before I give the invocation, I'd like to thank Stu for the hard work he does in getting us some choices to present to you based on the event of the day. Grant us, Lord our God, a vision of your world as your love would have it. A world where the weak are protected and none go hungry or poor. A world where the riches of creation are shared and everyone can enjoy them. A world where different races and cultures live in harmony and mutual respect. A world where peace is built with justice and justice is guided by love. Give us the inspiration and courage to build it. Amen.
All right, today I chose God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, what will fall? Oh, bless America, our home sweet home. Oh, bless America, our home sweet. And would you all please join Larry, Tanya, and I in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance Thank you. For those guests who are here, you'll be introduced shortly. This is what happens weekly here. This is what Rotary does. I would like to take this time to thank those who helped. Thank you. I would like to take this time to thank those who helped make the meeting possible here. For setup, Bob Werner, I did not see Kathy today. If there was, all right. Greeters, Antoinette Monroe and John Pizer. Our welcome guest guide, Virginia Knudsen, ticket sales, Carrie Gross and Bob Pizer. Our photographer, past president, Jim Tucker. Our scribe, thank you, John Pally. Our AV team, I don't see Austin, but I know Stu is here. Our teardown is Larry Cohn, and our sergeant at arms will be Jimmy Navarro. Thank you to all of you for helping. So let's start with introductions. Jimmy, do you have a microphone?
I am here. Ready.
All right, so now we're going to start out with international guests, and Bob is dying to introduce her.
Yes, we are indeed happy to have Valeria from Vienna, Austria. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, sure. It's such a pleasure to be able to attend your weekly meeting. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you, Bob, for introducing me. I'm here for a trade show. It's actually my second time in the US only. So I thought, okay, I'll contact fellow Rotarians, so I'll find some friends with the same mindset as we have. And I come from a club. We're not as old as your club. We only exist. We've been recently founded. It's an international club, but we also focus on education. And we're English-speaking club. So anytime you come to Vienna, please come and visit us at Vienna Rotary Club. And it's such a pleasure. I'm here for the Super Soul trade show. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own company for pet products. And yeah, I'm active in anything in charities. I'm a local counselor in Vienna. Yeah, I have multiple, I'm a chairperson for the committee, NGO committee on the families at the UN. So anything you want to connect with me also on UN issues and families, really happy to do so. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And we have a flag exchange.
Valeria is very, very accomplished. She is part Italian and Austrian, and she's all over the world. And first time in America, so we are really pleased to have you.
And our banner exchange. Photo op. There you go. And thank you. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your stay here in Las Vegas. Do we have any we're not there yet. Visiting Rotarians. Visiting Rotarians, hands up for Jimmy.
Right there.
Good afternoon, everybody. Joe Wittenweiler here. I am the current president of the Las Vegas Southwest Rotary Club. We also meet at Lowry's on Mondays in a much smaller room across the way. So if y'all know anyone interested in Rotary that doesn't want to fit in this room, or Thursdays don't work, give me a call. Funny thing is, we're meeting here today because Jordana and I are actually volunteering at Super Zoo on tomorrow. We'll be there volunteering to pick up some stuff. So welcome to America.
And my name is Jordana Lane, and I'm here on behalf of the SOAR committee. And I just wanted to let you know that we would love to see you at this year's ceremony. We're actually going to have it on a Tuesday instead of a Monday. I think you have an event, so I apologize for the conflict. However, we are looking for people that want to attend the event, of course, to support. And also, if you would like to volunteer, just let Tony know and she'll get your information to me. And if you'd like to do anything sponsorship-wise, we welcome that as well.
And we have our liaison with you.
Yes, yes. Renee's
Renee
there. Renee, yes. Renee's our liaison for your club. Thank you, Renee, for all your hard work the last few years. And I actually have my friend, fellow Rotarian, and VP of the committee, Jean, to say hi.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome. Any other visiting Rotarians from other clubs? Keep your hands up and Jimmy will come to you.
Hello, everybody. Congratulations on 100 years. I was just remembering I belong to two other clubs celebrating 100 years. It's a wonderful thing. I'm Jim Ludwig. I am from the E Club of District 5190, which is Northern Nevada, Eastern California. I met here last year raising money for Polio Plus. I left some business cards out there. Last year, I walked 330 miles from Florence to Rome, raised $11,500, matched 2-to-1 by Gates. This year in October, Polio Month, I'm walking the entire 3 islands of Malta. So if you'd like to help, you get credit, your club gets credit, and I get credit. So there's the cards there. And you can come with me if you want.
Any other visiting Rotarians? Keep your hands up, please. Visiting Rotarians.
Good afternoon. My name is David Grab. I've been here before, probably 4 to 5 times already. I come in to Vegas twice a year. We go to a show. We didn't go to Super Zoo this year. We're at the ASD. My wife and I, we buy and resell product on Amazon. Also, my classification is actually karate instructor because I did that for 15 years. So our club is St. Catharines. It's on the Niagara region on the Canadian side. And we are about 101, 102 years old. We have about 75 members. And we just did one of our major fundraisers. We call Rib Fest. I don't think it's a thing that happens in the US. We raised $90,000 to $100,000 on the long weekend of August
Wow,
to use community and global grants.
wonderful. Welcome. Any other visiting Rotarians? Going once, going twice. All right. Can we introduce guests of Rotarians? Put your hands up if you are a guest of a Rotarian.
Gwen Hall. My guest is the partner that Stu and I worked with this week to deliver our program, coupons to the teachers, Dr. Beverly Mathis.
Welcome. Step up the steps.
Good afternoon. I'm Bobbin, and I brought my new friend, Coach Lee Ward. We met at the gym, and he coaches basketball for youth between 4th and 8th grade. Yeah, thank you, Tony.
I listened. Welcome. One back here.
I have a guest today, Wes Jewell. I met Wes when I first got involved with ACU years ago, and when we found out that we have actually many mutual friends as well. So I talked to him about Rotary before, and what better time to visit this for the first time than today.
And Winatar is here. And I think we have one last guest of Rotarian. Oh, there's one back there. Hang on, Leah.
We do have a guest here, Dave. He was introduced last week. He does not want to talk again.
Okay. Welcome. I'm
Here for the
seeing
fellowship.
2 young people at this table. Are they guests of people or visitors, or is it Simran? Oh, then that's Simran. Never mind. I'm going to wait till later.
Well,
Then we have Leah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everybody again. I have the pleasure today to have as a guest a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and maybe a prospect for our club. And this is Joe Campos, and he's the honorary consul of South Korea. And
Welcome.
Joe is going to tell you a little bit more about himself, and here he is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leah. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. 100th anniversary. Wow, what a milestone. I just wanted to make a quick comment because I often get the question, am I Korean? No. However, my Korean friends call me Korea Joe, and it's mainly because I've traveled extensively throughout the country, Republic of Korea, and I've done a lot of business out there over the years. Currently, I have a digital infrastructure fund, a PE private equity fund that we're invested in. The first one in the state of Nevada, and we're anchored by our Korean friends from Samsung, LG Electronics, Hyundai, and also Seoul National University. So we have real close connectivity between the state of Nevada and Korea. One last thing I'll just mention because it's timely at this time is the fact that Korea's President Yoon is visiting Washington, Camp David Summit. And it's a second visit in 4 months to Washington. And I think it speaks volumes about the relationship between the United States and Korea and some of the issues that we're confronting in the Pacific Rim vis-a-vis China. And so I just wanted to mention that this is yet another important occasion for the Republic of Korea. But as it relates to the Rotary Club, absolutely, I'd be honored to join. And my good friend Leah, my colleague, Nevada Councilor Corps, has made a great introduction. So thank you very much. And
Thank you. Welcome. Any other guests of Rotarians? All right, I would like to introduce my head table. Oh, wait, we have another? Oh, okay, I got confused. We have seated our speaker today, and I'm going to try to get it pronounced correctly, Atar Asibula. Wait, Asibula. I apologize. And also accompanying him is Genevieve Lynch, the development manager for Nevada ACLU, and our one and only Mike Newborn, who will be introducing Atar later. So let's welcome all of our guests, please. Okay, Green Book, where is it? Okay, it's going to go down that back row, back around here and up here, and we're going to make sure it gets to the meeting today. Also, the roster. I believe the clipboards are going around. Make sure everybody has looked at it. Make sure you please check your entry to be sure that everything is there that needs to be there, and make any changes that are necessary. All right, Jimmy.
Yes.
Are we ready? Can you take the microphone to Antoinette, please, for 25 Club?
So first off, I want to say thank you to everybody that volunteered to support our meeting today, especially those of you who stepped up last minute. It is a 25 Club responsibility to make sure that these meetings go smoothly and are fully staffed. So please make sure that you take a look at the Green Book and sign up. Our next 25 Club meeting will be on September 7th at 6 p.m. at Don Holland's home. The 25 Club will be providing the main dish, but it will also be a potluck, and I will send out more information to follow. Oh, we will also be doing a raffle for the canned food drive. So if you have anything that you would like to donate for the raffle, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette. Melanie Probe is, Melanie Muldowney is on Zoom, but not available here. So I'm going to step up real quick. We did have a great combination membership orientation and 25 Club at Brian Riley's house, attended by a lot of people. It was a fabulous event. The combination worked real well. Make sure when we have the next one, which is November 1st, that you consider coming to join and support the newer members. Moving on, our Aid to Hawaii. We have the district 5300 has a QR code and also a website that you can go to, link so that you can contribute. And I'd like to take a moment to thank Sarah Thornton and her company, neither of them is here, but we made it to the Business Digest. And it says Las Vegas Rotary rally support for the wildfire-stricken Maui. So we are getting into the news and getting known for what we do and for what Rotary does. Doesn't look like Austin is here for TLC. Susan, do you want to give a quick blurb on gathering kids for TLC, please?
Hello, fellow Rotarians and most welcome guests. TLC is Teen Leadership Camp. It will be the first camp of this Rotary year, and it is for 8th graders. And the district just finally posted all the information, and we'll get that disseminated out to you. And we'll update the flyers on the website or on our PowerPoint. And one thing I'd like to add about RILA is generally for sophomores and juniors. And this year they've limited it. It will only be for grade 11. So it'll be for juniors only, and we'll get that information updated to and out to you as well.
Thank you, Susan. Also, in the absence of Austin being here, I just want to make a note. There is or will be guidelines for those of you that are interested in providing activities for our inbound exchange student, Mateo. There are certain guidelines that we need to abide by. So be sure that you check with the guidelines. You can check with Kimberly, who is here, with Mike Kudamont, also with Brian Riley, to make sure that we are within the guidelines for what we do with Mateo. Speaking of guidelines, would you take the microphone to past President Karen Wisenhunt, please?
afternoon, Rotarians. Youth protection training. Everyone that deals with children under 18 for any of our programs, including the youth exchange program, must take the youth protection training once a year. This is a new Rotary year, so even if you've taken it in November of last year, you need to take it again. We've got a sign-up sheet in the green book, and so far there's 20 people that have signed up for it. And out of the 20 of you in the room, have you received an email? If you have received an email from NAYEN, please raise your hand. If you've signed up and you have not received it, please let me know after the meeting. And for the rest of you, if you're going to be dealing with children, please sign up in the green book. Let myself know or let Sean. Next is the youth Rotary Youth Golf Putting Tournament. It's on September 25th, also in the green book. If you haven't signed up to golf, please do so as soon as possible so we can confirm all the numbers. We're still looking for whole sponsors and one more food and beverage sponsor. So thank you for supporting the Youth Exchange program.
Thank you, Karen. Jimmy, would you take the microphone back over to Gwen Hall for a quick announcement about the PET deliveries?
Dr. Mathis, Stu, and I were very involved in getting Teacher Superstore gift certificates. I've always said that Santa Claus was the best day of my year until yesterday and Monday when I was in the two elementary schools. You cannot imagine how excited the teachers are when they get about $400 worth of supplies.
Thank you, Gwen, and thank you for the Education Committee for doing what they do. Now it's the Ever Ready Bunny. Take the mic, please, to Will Abbott. Talk a little bit about FC Lights.
Right. Hi, Tony. Hi, everybody. So raise your hand if you like the game of soccer. You people, raise your hand if you like the word free. I hope. So with Junior Achievement, our local team, the Las Vegas Lights, they reached out to us as an organization and they wanted to partner with us, and they are giving us, wait for it, an unlimited amount of tickets for September 9th. I'm bummed Austin isn't here because I was gonna roast him. He gave me the idea and said, hey, our exchange student loves soccer and we would love to get him out to a soccer game. And I said, I have an unlimited amount of tickets. So with that, we're gonna have our exchange student out there. A few Rotarians who already kind of know about this, but we wanted to open it up to the entire club. Again, if you have any amount of people that want to attend this, it's September 9th. That's the flyer. All you got to do is scan the QR code and it's free Vegas Light soccer tickets on September 9th.
Thank you, Will. And ladies and gentlemen, we have that covered because it's an attachment. The flyer that was up here was an attachment on your weekly club email. So grab that and you can get your tickets. I have one more announcement. There's no other announcements after that, so you can sit and eat. The one announcement again is our relationship with Spread the Word Nevada. Our club has supported the school, Will Beckley Elementary School, and each year we get a report card from them as to what our dollars and efforts have done and produced. It's a combination of $25,000. Our community grants pays half, and Tom Thomas and his wife donate the other half. So for the year end of Beckley, in the Kids to Kids program, that's where they get backpacks and they get books in those backpacks and periodic deliveries. Last year alone, ladies and gentlemen, 753 children were served. More importantly, 7,157 books were distributed. And the last from this category, there were 100 free and reduced lunches. Keep in mind that a child's mind is not going to develop if they don't have the ability to read. And by getting books into their hands and into their homes is what's making a difference. the Breakfast with Books program, previously known as Family Literacy, previously known as Breakfast with Books, which is a quarterly event that happens. Last year, which was the one of the first years of doing it since COVID, 263 children attended, 199 adults attended, 401 books were distributed. That's a lot of books. And unfortunately, 4 reading logs were turned in. Reading logs are indicia of them having read 10 books within the 2-month period coming. So there's a lot more work to be done. So that's the end of that. Also, briefly, we still have the Books and Buddies Mentor Program. If you're interested, come see me. You can sign up. And before we go into anything further, Mike Kudamont, where are you? I think you have a couple of things to present.
Could I call on Bhavan Singh, please, and Mike Newborn? So the Paul Harris Fellow is an award given to those who have contributed to the RI Foundation or was sponsored by someone for exemplary service to Rotary. It is one of the most prestigious awards in Rotary and thereby named after the founder of Rotary, Paul Harris. Multiple Paul Harris Fellow is a Paul Harris Fellow who has contributed or whose name has contributed additional gifts to the foundation. Giving any sum of money to Rotary Foundation makes you a part of the eradication of polio, a partner in creating peace, a person who supports clean water and sanitation, where water is worth more than gold. It is also measured in lives. It makes you someone who believes that all babies, children, and mothers should have good medical resources, microcredit, and equal rights. You are a person that is fighting AIDS, polio, malaria, and other diseases, and in doing so, much more than I could ever tell in a few minutes I'm given. While it is an honor to receive Paul Harris Fellow, it is not about the recognition, it's about what we can do in the world as Rotarians. So with that, let me welcome Bhavan Singh and Mike Newborn as the new to the union of thousands of Rotarians invested in making a world peace. So congratulations. This is Bhavan Singh's first, and then the pin, Mike Newborn's initial, and the pin. Congratulations. Very good.
No, don't, you got, no, and you guys have to stay up here. And wait a minute, you stay here. Turnabout's fair play. Mike decided to surprise me one week. I get to surprise him. It is my pleasure and honor to bestow upon you your Paul Harris +2, Mike.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you all. And next, I would like to call up Jim Hunt, Rodney, where am I? Sappington, Simran Sarup. Come on up. So Melanie is not available here today, and Nikki is also not available here today. Simran's sponsor is Melanie, so I'm going to bob and weave and do a little introduction and the presentation. And Arlene Sarah has agreed to come up and assist with Simran in his pinning ceremony. So that I'm not talking all the time, I'm going to introduce Simran first. So why don't you come on over here? Thank you. And Melanie was kind enough to prepare something for me because she was all prepared to be here with you. I would like to point out that back in there it is. Oh. Thank you. Simran reached out to Rosalie and I back in 2020, his interest in Rotary. And it's been a while and he has persevered, and we are so honored and pleased to have him here today. It is my privilege on behalf of Melanie and the membership committee to induct 2 new members today, both Simran and Tucker. Melanie is Simran's sponsor, and here is the introduction she has written. I am very excited to introduce Simran Sarup, a dynamic and driven individual with a variety of passions. He has been a Las Vegas resident since he was 8 years old. He has 1 younger sister, and I believe that's probably who's here with you today. So welcome, and it's nice to have family supporting you. He went to the Meadows School and graduated high school at the Adelson School. He recently graduated from UNLV with a degree in finance and a minor in Chinese. He is highly proficient in Chinese. When I use the word or the pronoun I, that's Melanie, I think he becomes our youngest Rotarian in our club, and that is very exciting. Are you younger than 26? Okay, then he's right along there with our youngest. The new theme is to create hope in the world, and having the next generation become Rotarians gives me a lot of hope for the future of our club. When Simran was at UNLV, he participated in the Rebel Venture Fund. He interned at Startup Nevada, Zebra Technologies, and GHJ in LA. He will tell you more about these experiences in a minute. He really enjoys the Las Vegas community, so he hopes his next career steps will allow him to be a great part of this community. His interests outside of academics and work includes painting tennis, fencing, and cliff diving. He is an avid health and fitness advocate. We've got many friends here. He loves music of all kinds. He plays the piano. Mike, you now have a competitor. He is a DJ and produces his own music. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to Simran so he can say a few words.
How's it going, everyone? Thank you for having me. So I really appreciate you having me here today. I just want to give you a brief history of how I got here. While I was at UNLV, I joined the Rebel Venture Fund, which is a student-run investment fund. And when I initially joined, there were only 3 members. By the time I exited, we had grown the fund to 40+ members. And that consisted of undergraduate students and graduate students from all disciplines, from finance to psychology. It was a really diverse environment, and everybody really learned a lot. My last couple of years there, I ended up running the deal flow committee as the director of deal flow, where I managed a team of 9 other students in all aspects of deal flow, from due diligence to pitching to pitch investments. After RVF, I realized I truly loved the investing space. However, I wanted to find a place where I could focus primarily on the Las Vegas community and founders in the Las Vegas community. So I ended up interning at Startup Nevada, which turned into a full-time position while I was at university. There, I focused on both the venture capital side as an investor, as well as the incubator side, helping founders polish their business plans, and pitch decks. I also provided product knowledge, revenue model knowledge, and things of that nature. It was a really fantastic opportunity. It was the first practical experience I had that kind of propelled me into this. After Startup Nevada, I quickly realized that I wanted to deal with some more established startups. So I interned at Zebra Ventures, which is the venture capital arm of Zebra Technologies. And there I was focused on startups from Series B to Series D, which essentially are startups valued anywhere between 35 million and 6 billion. And it was a really cool experience because I have a passion for AI and robotics, and I was able to focus on startups that were primarily operating in the AI or robotics space. After Zebra Ventures, I did an internship in Los Angeles at GHA Advisory, and there I was able to work with middle market companies, investment bankers, and private equity investors as an advisor that would help on the buy side and sell side of the transaction. As of today, I'm currently deciding between two roles, and I'm just enjoying a little bit of summer vacation before I start working again. And the two roles are a private equity firm in Las Vegas or corporate venture capital at a startup that actually focuses on building rocket ships from 3D printing technology, which is pretty cool. So aside from my professional and academic careers, I've been really interested in giving back to the community. It's something that my father instilled on Neha, my sister, and I from a very young age. I remember when I was in middle school and high school, I was always part of the school supply drives and food drives that were run and facilitated by faculty, students, and parents. And it was a really great time. I enjoyed just connecting with everybody while doing the drives, and I enjoyed the feeling of being able to help others that weren't in a privileged position like myself. At UNLV, I also got a taste of that. I volunteered at a program called Summit for Success, which was a program where low-income students, primarily middle school students, were able to come to a place for 8 weeks. They were taught the tools that they were needed to traverse high school as well as begin the college application process. And on top of that, it gave them a very fun summer experience. And they were able to befriend students from their school and students from other schools in their community. Since then, I kind of got a little focused on my career and internships and things like that. So I haven't found a place to give back. But after I found Rotary, which Tony and I connected back in 2021, and she told me essentially about the mission that you guys have here, it really touched a heartstring with me because I find helping the youth incredibly important, and it was one of the primary reasons I wanted to join. Then I came to a couple meetings, and then I came to the 25 Club orientation. And after that, I was essentially sold, and I'm really honored to be here. I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. I'm looking forward to doing great things with all of you. So thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to an awesome adventure.
Jim?
President Tony. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and honored guests. Today, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce to you Tucker Sappington. Tucker is a 2006 graduate of Mississippi State University. After graduation, he moved to Memphis, Tennessee to work for his national fraternity traveling throughout the country. It was this work that opened up his mind to the idea of pursuing a career in higher education. After a stint in West Tennessee, Tucker found his way to the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, serving in the role of Assistant Dean of Students for 7.5 years. He then transitioned to alumni relations, serving as Assistant Director for the University of Louisiana at Lafayette Alumni Association. After almost 15 years with UL Lafayette, he accepted an opportunity with UNLV and continues to work in the field of alumni engagement, serving as Senior Director. Tucker officially moved to our city in January of this year and is quickly acclimated to Las Vegas and Clark County. When he isn't working, Tucker has a love for all things college sports and live music. Great choices. My interaction with him has convinced me that he believes in community and that as a group, we should all do our best to give back. Tucker has already made it clear that he's looking forward to quickly getting involved in the Rotary Club of Las Vegas and to bring his strengths to the table. Please help me give a warm welcome to someone who will undoubtedly be a tremendous addition to our Rotary family, Tucker Sappington.
Well, thank you all so very much. So good to be here. I've met some of you in the room. I hope to meet a lot more of you as we continue on. I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity, and we'll talk more one-on-one, but I'm going to turn it back over and let's get rolling, all right?
Thank you. So Simran and Tucker, you are beginning a great adventure in leadership, in friendship, and in service to your community. The Las Vegas Rotary Club has accepted you as a person of good character, high ethical standards, and as one who has a heart for service. While you have been invited to join Rotary, it will be through your own actions that you actually become a Rotarian. One of the greatest values Rotary offers is the ability to develop lifelong friends while serving with other members locally or internationally, adding a richness to life that is priceless and taking steps toward making the world a better place. The theme for this year's Rotary is Create Hope in the World. And as our new RI President, Gordon McAnally, has stated, the goal is to restore hope, to help the world heal from destructive conflicts, and in turn, to help us achieve lasting change for ourselves. For many people, Rotary restores optimism and hope for a better world. We hope that is what you experience as new members. RI President states, this is how Rotary brings lasting change to the world, one restored or newly created hope at a time. We know that we will receive much from the two of you in help and in service, which will enable us to be better Rotarians. And we most heartily offer you the right hand of our Rotary Fellowship and hope. Rotarians, if you will all please stand. You are each being given a Rotary pin by your sponsor, by which your fellow Rotarians and the community will recognize you as a Rotarian, and we ask that you wear it proudly. With that, it is our pleasure and honor to congratulate both of you on being inducted as the newest members in the Las Vegas Rotary Club, the greatest Rotary Club in the world. Okay, whoa. Time is running short. Where is the green book? Green book, green book, green book. Okay, keep it moving. All right, let's get to our, wait a minute. Let's get to our raffle. So the winning ticket for the raffle, which is at $3,830. The last four numbers, look at your tickets, 7950. Larry, yay. There you go, my friend. Don't spend it all in one place. And for our Lowry's bucks, last four digits, 7761. 7761. Lowry's bucks. Seven. Oh, Arlene. Okay. There you go. Okay. I'm 2 minutes before showtime. Let me see if I've done everything. Okay. All right. At this time, I would like to call up Mike Newborn to introduce our speaker and speaker program.
Thank you, Madam President. And of course, my mouth was full. That's the only way to keep me quiet. And don't let Mike fool you. The accolades from a Paul Harris, not so bad either. But I want to thank everybody for that. We have a wonderful guest today. You're in for a treat. His name is Atar Hasabullah. Fortunately, I let Tony get it wrong the first time. So we got a trial run on that. Now, he serves as the executive director of the ACLU of Nevada, and he's been an attorney with a concentration in civil rights and public policy. He's also the very first person of color to ever lead the ACLU here in Nevada since its founding in 1966. He also previously served as the general counsel and the director for strategic initiatives for Nevada educational advocacy, Opportunity 180. He is the senior government affairs and legal administrator with the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada and served as a litigator for both the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada and New York. Can we get a warm Las Vegas Rotary welcome for Atar Hasabullah?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. I saw the play here today, which was to get me nice and full and then have me come speak. So hopefully everybody doesn't pass out while I'm speaking of boredom. And if they do, I'll blame it on the food. I do have the clicker here. So I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about myself and then a little bit about our organization and discuss some of our education equity work as well. As you all know, the ACLU is a controversial organization, and I want to make sure, because of that, I save a little bit of extra time for questions. So I'm hoping to wrap up my part in about 15 minutes and leave about 15 minutes for Q&A. The more controversial the questions, the better. I welcome all of that. We're happy to discuss it and always happy to engage in good dialogue with everyone on the issues that we work on. So a little bit about me. Grew up right here, Southern Nevada. Was really always interested in doing civil rights work. I ended up attending Howard University for both college and law school. So I was in DC for about 7.5 years. Joined my fraternity there, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, of which I'm still active here in the Las Vegas alumni chapter, where I do most of my service. Took the New York and New Jersey bar examinations first. Thought I was going to stay on the East Coast, but for those that are also from Vegas and who have moved away for any substantive period of time, I'm sure you can relate to the weird stranglehold the city has when you end up returning and then you just never leave again. So ended up doing that, working in New York for a few years. I believe I'm the only ACLU executive director in the country, maybe anywhere ever, who actually served as a prosecutor in their past. My first 3.5 years, I actually served in the juvenile prosecution unit for the city of New York. I was assigned to the gang unit and the sex crimes unit. So my purview is probably a little bit more complex than some. That was viewed as a rehabilitative system there. Whether it was or it wasn't is a separate story, and that would require its own conversation for its own day. But in 2015, I moved back to Nevada, worked for Legal Aid Center, worked for the RTC, worked for an educational nonprofit called Opportunity 180 before I took over the ACLU in January of 2021. And when we did that, we've had a lot of things that have occurred since. I think it's the down arrow. So I can talk a little bit about the national ACLU history and about the ACLU of Nevada, and then I'll jump into kind of some of the stuff we're working on. National ACLU, again, founded well over 100 years ago. Many folks are familiar with what we do, but the model for the ACLU is somewhat unique. We're an integrated advocacy organization. What does that mean? We accomplish our goals through 3 ways: through public education and information dissemination. Sometimes that means know your rights trainings. Sometimes that means working with individuals directly. I also include our media approach. There it so happens that one of the guests today, Wes Buell, who's in the back there, is our communications director. So we're able to share our information with the public and engage the public that way. We do our work through public policy changes. That means we lobby or advocate. I think sometimes people have a distasteful understanding of lobbyists. It's not much better when I say lawyer. So when I say I'm a lobbyist and a lawyer, normally get double the engagement there. But we advocate for policies that we believe are in line with civil liberties and civil rights. I'll explain the breakdown in a minute of what that looks like. And then when we think that there's a civil liberties or a civil rights violation, we litigate. So we sue, and normally we sue the government. It's a bit of an odd conundrum to be in a position where you're constantly suing the government, but we view that as our responsibility. That's in effect our mission. Is we're the check on unfettered action when government overreaches. And we have those wins at the federal level, and we've done that through litigation and policy changes, whether we're looking at our involvement in cases like Brown versus Board of Education, or more recent cases on an abundance of issues that we've been involved with, or if we do it at the state level, and I'll discuss our state level wins here momentarily. We're a nationwide, nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. That might be one of the biggest misconceptions about our org. Most of my Twitter haters have shared that we are a partisan hack job. That is in fact not the case. We have criticized Democrats and Republicans and those who are nonpartisan quite evenly. Our only focus is on advancing civil liberties and civil rights. When I say civil liberties, I mean those liberties that are afforded to you by both the federal and state constitutions and also provided to you by statute. But I always talk about civil rights in association with civil liberties because absent the body of law that came from the civil rights movement and the ongoing civil rights efforts, those civil liberties would not have applied to everyone. So they do go hand in hand. They're one and two. One does not exist for many of us without the other. Because we're a nationwide organization, we have a national office, which we work with quite often, but we're federated. So in Nevada, we have our own affiliate here, state affiliate. We set our own priorities. We work in close conjunction with our national counterparts and affiliates of other state if there's regional issues that occur. And we do that again through those same three ways, through public education, through public policy changes, and through litigation. Talked about a few of these cases already, whether that's Brown versus Board or whether it's issues related to repro rights. We're kind of at the forefront of many issues that are viewed as being controversial or hotbed issues. Sometimes we agree, most often with our national office. Sometimes we're a little bit of a renegade here in Nevada and we take on a different approach. It just really depends on what the issue is, but 99% of the issues are in alignment with our national office for a specific reason because we do think it will advance civil liberties and civil rights. Our affiliate was founded in 1966, so well over 50 years ago. I was not born then. I'm sure there were many transitions over the course of time, but in 2021, January of 2021, I took over the affiliate. And I took over an organization at the time that I did not feel like was very active in what I come from, which is a litigation and public policy space in the way I wanted. I view myself as being aggressive. I think that's necessary, and it's a necessary element to be able to advance our causes. We've recruited one of the best teams, in my opinion, in the country. We have about a dozen employees up and down the state. We don't just cover Las Vegas, we cover issues statewide, whether that's here, whether that's in Washoe County, whether that's in Aurora County, which is a little bit unique. We have a very big geographic span to cover. So sometimes it brings us out to Nye County, sometimes it takes us to Elko or White Pines, right? We try to engage community, not transactionally, but authentically and sustainably. And that's important. One of my personal goals when I took over the organization was to help create the next generation of civil rights leaders. I'm probably not a career ACLU person. That's not the way I've generally moved career-wise. I like bad projects and then going in and fixing them and getting them propped up and then moving out and letting somebody else kind of take over. And so we've done some really great work there that I'll share a little bit about shortly, which we'd love to have you all participate in as well. But across the board, we hit a lot of different issues. This was our most recent strategic plan that was adopted 2 years ago when I took over. As you can see, it covers every issue. So it's hard to say it's a strategic plan, but we do work, fortunately or fortunately, in all of these areas. We're best known in many instances for protecting the First Amendment, but we really work on every constitutional issue. In recent years, there's been takeoff in other areas. Voting rights is probably one of the bigger issues where we're involved. And I think a lot of folks have seen what that's looked like and played out nationally. I expected to be working on the issues of 2023. I feel like many days I'm working on the issues of 1963, but we are where we are, and it allows us still to be able to move forward. I'm going to have really strong discourse, including with our opponents or with those that have different views about what we think this country and our state should look like moving forward. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure I touched on was education equity. And why is that the theme for today? Well, we recognize that your Rotary Club does a ton of work there. We're also doing work in that space, albeit in a couple different lanes. And I'll explain what those lanes look like. But this together with a greater focus on education overall could help our community for as long as I can remember as a product of this community. Our rankings as it pertains to educational quality have remained low. They still remain low. And there's a lot of things that go into that ecosystem. I'll explain what a couple of those look like and where we're working, but I did want to take a moment to acknowledge all of your hard work, because I think that absent some of the efforts you all have put in, or other organizations like Dr. Mathis has put in through PEF and through her lifetime of work, there wouldn't be the ability for us in our community to be able to move forward. This is a holistic effort, and it does really require all hands on deck. Unfortunately, we recognize we live kind of in a short-sighted society where we're looking at everything for an instant fix. Education has no instant fix here. It didn't take us 6 months or a year or one legislative session or two to get into this mess. It's not going to take us 1 or 2 to get out of the mess. But we do have to continue to invest there and pour in our resources there and be really laser focused and improving in that sector, because everything based on our future depends on that, whether that's our workforce, whether it's public health related issues, or the sustainability of our economy overall. So we talk about education equity, we often are referring to parity. And in many instances, that comes in an abundance of forms. We have been involved in a slew of different items, whether that means we're advocating for students who might be differently able, who have IEP plans that aren't receiving services in that regard. And I'll also shout out Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada, because organization I spent 4 years at, and they're a statewide leader in ensuring those plans are fulfilled. Or whether it's making sure that we're involved in school policing issues, or school discipline issues, or public records issues, a lot of the stuff that wraps around the periphery of what might impact student learning. During the pandemic, we saw a couple things. We saw that many areas and industries were able to pivot. We've shifted into remote work environments in many instances, and almost immediately we recognized we were not well prepared to deal with really remote learning for K through 12 students. And a lot of that is attributed to malfeasance, but I don't think it's because of malfeasance. I think it's because of neglect. We have never prioritized education as a state. I'll tell you a story. In 2020, before the 2021 legislative session, I had offered a bill that I thought was going to get traction. It would have guaranteed every student in Nevada the right to a high quality public education. Seems innocuous. High quality public education. Why did I do that? Because for those who don't know, our state legislature meets part-time, 4 months every odd year. We have 120 days, really, and it's really 60 days. We have 120 days to get any state law passed during every odd year, between February and the end of May. That doesn't leave a lot of time to get things done. Not only are those barriers there, the legislature is in Carson City, which is not accessible to most people. And then you add on the fact that we have a bicameral legislature, which means you have to pass the Senate, you have to pass the state assembly, and you have to get a bill passed by the governor in order for it to go into effect. You have all these obstacles in the way. Well, it's no wonder we haven't had as much of a change as we would have liked, right? The system is not set up to have a dramatic impact there. While it'd be nice to go in and say, hey, let's get everything done, institutional barriers sometimes prove too great. So we offer that bill. And the reason why we did it was because if we thought a student wasn't being deprived of that, and resources were being allotted to something else outside of giving a student a high quality public education, that student would have the ability thereafter to litigate, not for financial damages, but for performance. When I say that, what does that mean? That means that they wouldn't get any money out of it, but it would require the government to provide the resources necessary to be able to accomplish the goal. That bill was almost immediately killed. I was told it was too controversial. And the second that was shared with us, that guaranteeing students the right to a high quality public education, recognize what our values are. We didn't have that too controversial when we did a slew of other things, whether that's corporate dealings and modifications to that structure, whether that's changes to the penal law system. But when it came to guaranteeing students a right to a high quality education, too controversial. So we'll be looking at this point to continue that fight, move that forward, alongside some of the other items we work on. I'll also note here, and if there's any takeaway, from today's presentation, I hope that folks, there's a lot of debate across the country right now going on about school choice. There's two important things to remember. One, when people say school choice, they're not always on the same page about what that means. And until you have mutual language, it makes no sense. Sometimes folks view that as meaning opportunity scholarships, vouchers. Other people think that means the delineation between charter schools, which are always public, and traditional zone schools. But there is no common understanding of that. So oftentimes people are communicating without mutual terms, and it creates additional confusion. The second is with respect to funding. Any expert across the country will tell you that Nevada's system is, for education overall, our K-12 system is underfunded. There is no question about that. That should not be a political talking point ever. It is underfunded because we are the 5 bottom most states for per pupil funding. And in fact, the Education Law Center put out a report. We ranked as an F in the 3 major categories of funding distribution, and funding sources. Right. So that should not be a talking point. So for those that are advocates for school choice, I'm not one of them, but for those that are, when it comes to private schools and potential vouchers, but for those that are, I would encourage you when you're having a discourse, don't start with the notion that public schools are adequately funded, because they are not. We're recognizing that year over year over year. And so if you're in the bottom 5, you're probably not going to be in the top 5 for performance indicators. We still pale in comparison to most states that offer a quality and comprehensive education. And unfortunately, what we're running into now is an exacerbating teacher shortage as well. That teacher shortage, we've worked on policy issues surrounding that to try to get more teachers in the pipeline, even to guarantee our full-time substitute educators this past legislative session, our full-time public school educators who are subs, because they're teaching every day. They're filling classrooms when you don't have adequate amount of full-time teachers that are licensed with substitutes that are there the full year. Their agreement, though, says they can't receive any benefits. So these people are working without health insurance. And what ends up happening, they end up sick and in ambulatory care because they can't afford preventative care. And then the state has to cover it through Medicaid because their wages are often capped at around what would end up being $23,000 per year. And they're in a classroom teaching 40 kids. So that bill, unfortunately, after making its way through the legislature, was vetoed. But we're hoping to bring that back next session as well. So we continue to focus on these because we think that these are elements that help create the framework for what could be a brighter tomorrow. But right now, it's about triage still, right? Bandaging things up until there's enough of a movement to be able to actually fix this holistically. And the reason oftentimes why that becomes an issue is because you have to identify a new funding source. It can't be an original funding source that already exists, and we haven't had a lot of new funding sources that have come in. I think everybody looks at where's the cannabis money. When you look at the overall impact that the cannabis money's had, it's helped fill some gaps to keep up with inflation, but it hasn't filled the gaps to keep up with the quality of education. That's a big distinction there. When I mentioned per pupil funding, I think Nevada's most recent one was about $11,250 per student, and if you look at Connecticut or a northeastern state, about $28,000 per student. We're currently engaged in litigation on a number of issues. We're representing multiple students at Durango High School who, from our vantage point, were assaulted by school police, but current litigation is about public records. The school district refused to turn over the incident reports and videos. Ended up suing to be able to try to get those. That's still in court. So regardless of what happens in the next case, which may be a civil case, the actual ability for the government to retain documents and mark them as confidential and not turn anything over from our vantage point as a transparency organization, doesn't make sense. Mentioned health insurance for full-time subs. This is going to be something that we're bringing back. The other thing I'll mention is substitute teachers have no union. They don't have an organized voice that's advocating on their behalf, and the reason why is because by the time they get to that stage, most of them are burned out or leave. So the turnover ends up being immensely high. And until we fix that, when these full-time educators end up leaving, which many are leaving, according to the most recent numbers, both here in CCSD, in the rest of the state, and across the country, there will be no gap to be able to fill in at that point. So if you're not fixing that reserve pool for those folks that are going to come in, who's really looking at that? Two of the things and other ways we're engaging youth is through our direct collaboration with community groups we've started, civic organizations we've started. One is an on-campus group at UNLV called People Power. This is our college chapter for the ACLU. We're one of the only affiliates in the country that has a college chapter. They put on trainings. They also host events on campus. We have a new e-board there, so they're looking forward to getting the ball rolling there. And it's pretty exciting for us. And then this, from my vantage point, was a legacy program that we created recently. 3 months ago, we launched the Emerging Leaders Program for the ACLU of Nevada. And what that program is designed to do, and the inspiration behind it, was we had an actual summer leadership institute that was hosted by the National ACLU, where if you're a young person, you can apply, go to New York, get training from the National ACLU for about a week, and then from that standpoint on, you're able to go back and contribute to your community. Well, I asked that one of our biennials in colorful language, like, who the hell is going to know about the National ACLU Leadership Program unless your family member is an employee of the ACLU? It's not easy information to find. And then when we're on the ground and we're looking at individuals who are directly impacted from disadvantaged backgrounds that haven't had those opportunities, how are they going to learn about this? Is the expectation we're going to go there and do that? So instead, what we did was we had partnered with a lot of youth over the years. And our president right now of our Youth with the Emerging Leaders Program, she was a mentee of mine, Derek Daniel. And we started talking about collaborating. So about 3 months ago, we launched the Emerging Leaders Program. It's a program for those between 16 and 22 years old that focuses on leadership and professional development with the civil rights lens. So when I say we're creating the next generation of civil rights leaders, we're in fact doing that directly. It's not hyperbole. There's an investment into these students, whether that's resume development, whether that's professional exposure. We've had leaders from organizations like the Las Vegas Raiders and Caesars sign up to come speak to the students. The Raiders just presented a couple weeks ago to this group to let them know, hey, what's it like to work in the front office? How do you get there? And these are opportunities that not everybody had. We were also able to send stewards to that program in New York, who came back and reported, our program is probably a little bit better and more along than theirs is right now. So we're looking forward to seeing them take the next steps. And that might be some of these students in public office in a couple of years. So with that, I do want to underscore the importance of continuing collaboration. We have internships available throughout the year for college and for law students. I'll also take high school students on occasion. For those that have coordinated internship programs, I'm sure you can join me in my plight. It's not always easy for those that are administering the programs to create a good opportunity. But there's a multitude of ways to get involved. We have a mailing list, which we can get you on later today. I have Genevieve Lynch, who's our development manager here, who will be always happy to connect with you on a one-on-one basis as well to share more about all the rest of our programs. And I'd also encourage you to consider coming to our annual event next Thursday, August 24th at 7:00 p.m. is when the event will begin, Paris Hotel. Genevieve has some flyers associated with that. We're going to actually close out ticket sales tomorrow, but for those that can make it, it should be a great time. We're going to be honoring some of the state's best civil rights leaders of the last year who have done work in different areas. We don't say who the award recipients are until the night of, because I like to see shock and awe when they receive an award, and the natural tears are, it's nice to see ones of happiness, because we normally get the ones of misery on the back end of a court case, right? But with that, I'm happy to take any questions that anybody might have. And the more controversial, the better. In fact, I'll say, whoever asks me the most controversial question right now, I will cover your ACLU membership for the next year.
I have one thing.
I'll stick around until I get the most controversial question I can get.
All right, the challenge is on.
not so controversial. But over the last few months, I've had the golden opportunity to spend time in 3 different emergency rooms here in town. And all of those emergency rooms, my experience was something between a mental ward, homeless shelter, and police station. And I left with the impression that anybody coming in these hospitals, be it people who are less fortunate or people who have money in their pocket, everybody is coming up shortchanged out of that experience. And I wanted to see if the ACLU was working on anything on that particular change that.
You actually raise a couple different issues. One of them, as I mentioned earlier, was infrastructure related issues at the state level, right? Like it's the same in education as it is oftentimes when we're dealing with the way our medical apparatus is set up. We've not had enough providers, enough resources that have been put in. We've supported legislation to make sure that some of those are modified. But with respect to the overfill that we've sometimes seen, what end up being ambulatory care settings, oftentimes it's our population that's unhoused, especially during summer months here, and the exact opposite during winter months in northern Nevada where it's freezing temperatures. We've continued to try to fight proposals that would, in fact, make it more likely for those folks to end up in ambulatory settings. Sometimes what that ends up including is camping proposals where people are actually swept in the systems, then effectively immediately released. There's no actual plan that's been associated to identify what that ends up looking like to provide holistic services. But most recently, we did work on legislation that in fact protected those individuals from being forced to go to jail for a finite time period, which ends up exacerbating their conditions depending on what happens. But most of the time, it's because of destitution. You're sleeping on a sidewalk, not because you think the sidewalk at 120 degrees in southern Nevada is comfortable, but because you have no option. And so we do think that there's elements there that provide a basis for us to maybe also litigate in the future, but we're exploring those. The other place where that we recognize that tends to play a role is when we start looking at the disparities in actual treatment. We've seen certain people discharged rather quickly. So we've ended up working on some of those issues, and the same becomes through corrections. And unfortunately, we recognize a lot of the issues there. We're exploring a case right now, give an example of some of that work, where in the Nevada Department of Corrections, someone was discovered to have an irregular PAP 2.5 years ago. And rather than providing treatment, they ignored it. And now our potential client has cervical cancer. It's totally preventable. And you're paying for it because it's going to end up coming out of the state's budget when we start dealing with Medicaid reimbursements, after all, to the Nevada Department of Corrections. We could have prevented this on the front end. So we are looking at a holistic range of issues that deal there, but it's not a positive sign that the Clark County Detention Center is the state's largest mental health provider as well. That is the largest provider of mental health services, the detention center. So if that doesn't put in perspective how our ecosystem's not developed there, I don't know what else necessarily would.
Mr. Hasabula, thank you for being here. Hopefully nobody actually challenges you overtly. We have a rule around here that if someone is willing to give of themselves to speak to us, then we're not going to treat them badly. But I do have one comment and then a question. My comment is, I speak for myself only, but I personally like a political system where both houses of the legislature have to pass something and the governor has to approve it or be overridden, the veto overridden. So I'm assuming that's not a policy of the ACLU and it's your own personal opinion. I'll just say that.
Well, let me pause you there for a second. With respect to the actual policy that's associated with the ACLU, that's not actually dictated. There's a Nebraska model with the one-house government, right? And that's not something we've necessarily advocated for. But I mentioned that to say in the context of a part-time biennial legislature where you have 4 months, I don't think it's effective. So that is, to me, the position would be have an annual legislative session.
So here's my question, point and question. I wish your proposed bill had actually passed, where it guarantees a student a high quality education, because we don't provide that. And but my question really is relative to school choice. My question is, what will change not only our school district but public education to reform itself? And here's my prima facie evidence. Our own superintendent has 3 criteria by which he was judged for our school board. 1 was student achievement. 2 was a reduction of long term, but children of color suspensions, and 3 was teacher recruitment. All right, he exceeded 2 out of 3 and got a positive job review and a large raise. Okay, but he blew the one that he's responsible for, student achievement. So my point in question is this: I would take it from another point of view. We know that poverty, to a large degree, is where a kid grows up, no matter what color, but especially children of color. Right. So my point of view is, if a child is born in a neighborhood where their school is a very low performing school, we know what happens with teachers. By the way, my hero is Beverly Mathis, Dr. Beverly Mathis. I was on the Public Education Foundation Executive Committee for 22 years. My wife is a teacher, and my daughter-in-law is a teacher. My wife's retired. If you grow up in a tough neighborhood with an underperforming school where most of the teachers are brand new teachers, and because the good teachers that stick it out go to better schools where they have fewer problems, all right? And the law says you have to stay at that school unless you have independent means where you can go to a private school. Okay, isn't that infringing on that kid's rights? Further evidence: the NAACP of Oakland. I know, I see you. NAACP of Oakland specifically called out their school district calling for school choice. Another point: the majority of kids in
that might be the ACLU free membership
with school choice. So my point is, why, I agree that it's very underfunded here, but to make the claim that Connecticut spends a lot more, they're unhappy in Connecticut with their public schools. All right. So I'm not saying don't throw money at it, but it's got to be reformed. So why not work with school choice? Okay. And I'm not saying that Catholic schools, even though my kids went to, but why not work with school choice instead of against it? Because I don't see in everything you've said about how you're going to get public school administration, which is a political issue, as you well know, to change.
Thanks for the comment and for the question. So I'm happy to answer. And again, I'm happy to stay a few extra minutes to have these conversations. For me, it's always valuable. And, again, no limits on the type of questions. One, so I'll go back to the facts and data. So you're right. In Connecticut, they might spend 3 times the amount of money, but the academic performance indicators are not putting them in the bottom 5 in the country, and they're not putting them at an F rating in almost every proficiency indicator, where 50% of our students are still performing under the threshold for math, science, and reading, right? So we recognize the academic indicators are separate. Second, from my vantage point, if we were really to look at reforming the system, so the legislature doesn't pass this bill guaranteeing right to a high quality public education, that doesn't preclude other options, including the ability to go to a ballot at some point. My preference would have been for those who are advocating for public money to be diverted. And I'm saying diverted intentionally here because we are dealing, again, with that finite pool. We're not raising the amount of pie. I also suggested there may be willingness or room to compromise on some of those issues if the legislature were to create a new stream of revenue through new industry to be able to divert that. But as it stands right now, if you're dealing with a finite pie that's not expanding, that's being diverted elsewhere. To me, a better solution would be go to a ballot and allow us to vote on the ability to have high quality public education, allow parents and families and those that are being denied that opportunity because they're in locations or zip codes where those academic indicators fall under a threshold, to be able to litigate against these districts or the state for failing to provide that. I don't think that, to that same point, when we discuss the option of going into the notion of public versus public dollars going into private schools, I don't think that's a holistic solution, because at the end of the day, you're still dealing with 90+% of the kids or more that don't have a parent that might know how to apply for such a program that are being forced to go to those schools. So when we're looking at the entire ecosystem and what our workforce of tomorrow looks like, what our society of tomorrow looks like, we need to make sure every kid has that opportunity and not just parents know what's going on.
We could have gone on for longer, and I appreciate taking the opportunity to stay a little more from one litigator to another, in appreciation for sharing your time with us today. we would like to present you with our legacy book of 100 years entitled Rotary Club of Las Vegas, a Centennial Celebration. And in addition, we would also like to provide you with our Salute to Service Award, which represents a donation made in your name to the USO Family Programs. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, everybody.
Wait a minute. Just give me 1 second, guys, before you get up, please, because we haven't rung the bell. In keeping with the theme of Gordon, hello. Give me one more. Sorry, one more. Thank you. In keeping with the theme of RI President Gordon McAnally to create hope in the world, and as our American anthropologist Margaret Mead has said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And with that, see you next week and meeting adjourned.
Hey, Melanie. I got you. I heard you. Good. How's everything in our board meetings or what? Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I was listening. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, whatever. They all have points, and I thought he was a good speaker. I don't normally follow and like a lot of things that the ACLU does, but he pointed out a lot of good things that they're doing, and he was a good speaker and well spoken, so it was eye-opening. Huh. Well, I know. Yep. That's what we learn. And I don't know, I find people bring up topics and we talk about all kinds of stuff. And I always refer to our Rotary meetings. Like I saw Sound of Freedom and you go, yeah, I know a lot about this because I've heard it spoken about once or twice in our Rotary Club. So pretty interesting. Oh yeah. Yeah, they've done a great job. So how are the kiddos? How old's your oldest now? Like 14, 15 or something? 17. She's, oh no, gosh. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, cool. That's fun. Yeah, mine are 20 and 23. So one's out of college and one's a junior in college. So pretty fun. Okay.